did a hiking trip recently, packed out. I've never done one before. So this is me admitting I've never hiked out, packed out, stayed overnight, out. I've done plenty of hunting, fishing trips, hiking trips where we go out and back to a cabin or a camper, truck camper, but this is the first time I've ever had to just take everything with me on my back to survive. There, I admitted it. Am I more or less of a man now? I don't know. And it was my good buddy Mark invited me with him and his buddies. We went to Tahoe National Forest in central northern California. It would be just northwest of Lake Tahoe. If you're familiar with the area, it's just north of the Yucca Pass. Lake Bowman is one of the lakes there. There's a bunch of tiny little mountain lakes around there. Great trout fishing. That was pretty much the main focus of our trip, was to just bounce around to the little lakes and see if we could catch some trout. Pretty fun. Enjoy. First thing I did was, since I had all new stuff, I wanted to test it out. So I threw my pack on with everything in it that I needed, with my shoes I was using, and I tested it out just on local trails.
So
there's Bowman, that's where we drive into.
So there's a loop.
So I had no idea where I was going, and these guys had been here before. So my buddy Mark and his buddy Jim, they pretty much dictated where we were going. So they mapped it all out and knew the area. So I just sat back and said, all right, I'll go there. It was a long drive up there, and we got in late at night. I think this was about 10:15 at night, and it was just about to start raining, we saw on the radar. So we're trying to set up. This is just a regular camp area, kind of in the area where we wanted to start out from. So we just set up a 10-man, and all got our sleeping bags out and crawled into this guy. And it poured. It rained, it sleeted, it snowed, it was freezing cold. I had the edge of the tent. So the first night was not the best start. Woke up the next morning and gathered all our stuff, grabbed a quick breakfast, some coffee, get ourselves warm. It's pretty chilly here. It was maybe 37, 38 degrees, if I recall correctly. I made this video for you guys. You could say it's probably pretty boring, because I like to just let it roll and let you guys watch. The point of it is for you to get out, get outdoors. If you want to go to this area, you kind of get to see and watch and understand the terrain, so you know how to prepare. If you do want to hike this area, find it on the map, and I kind of discuss throughout where we're at. Hike of the day, we're trying to get to a couple little lakes and get some good elevation. We hiked up, I think total, the highest point in this little area we're at was 9,000 feet. So, first day was some good elevation. This is the base camp. Come up on all these mountain lakes. first big legit lake we decided to try to fish for some trout in.
Rig up your pole?
Heck yeah.
Ooh, the sun's coming out.
Literally the first cast.
First cast.
First cast.
You know what, let me wet my hands so I don't burn them.
Literally. Beauty. Oh my God, look at the red belly.
Yeah, they're so beautiful.
Beautiful. Literally beautiful. Literally first cast. Literally first cast. Beautiful. Just kind of caught up in the moment. Give me a break. So we were in bear country. It's just black bears. So for the most part, there's no grizzly bears in this area that I know of anyways. Mountain lions maybe here and there, but none that anybody had seen recently. But you'll notice you have to fish with your backpack on, because the bears, or camp dogs as we refer to them as, they'll come down out of the woods and take your backpack because they know there's probably food in it. So you either fish with your backpack on or you stay very close to it. That's just kind of the rule we follow. Let me know what you guys do if you're fishing or hiking with your packs out there. Do you just leave them on your back or hang them in a tree? Let me know what you guys do. Kind of one of the hardest, not really hardest thing. I mean, the hiking was probably the hardest part because you're hoofing it. If you're not in shape, forget it. I'm in decent shape, but I'm not like Mr. Marathon Man, but we were all in pretty decent shape. But the hardest part is kind of like meandering your way around these lakes and finding a spot where you can cast from that looks like it's a good spot. We tried to cast off big drop-offs because the fish were pretty deep. It's a video. It's a moving picture.
All right. So your supposed like philanthropy.
Stop for lunch. Actually, this was just this was lunch. It was about lunchtime. We had hiked over a couple big hills and found another little lake. We did get up high enough. There was still some snow. That's from the night before. Our pack weights, I tried to make mine around 35 or at least under 40 pounds. So before I left, when I weighed mine, my pack was 37.5 pounds. And that was per, I don't know, that's kind of average. You let me know what you guys like. Again, this was a 3-day hike, so 37 pounds was something I felt I could handle. Just to give you a little idea of timing, this was October that you're looking at here, so basically mid-fall. When we would start fires at night, we would try to find these old dead falls, or this one's not fallen, but dead pines. This is made for good. Pine needles start early. You can see it's real dry. This was where we camped for the first night, just a nice little kind of a basin with a somewhat dried up lake in it. We camped on an area that was a little bit of a waterfall that went down into a big canyon that would be just to the left of us here. But just nice to find a cool area to camp in. I like to be down in behind trees and logs, so you'll see where I set up camp. My one man decided to set up in this little area between the rocks. It wasn't really windy, but in case the wind picked up or anything, it's always nice to kind of be down out of the wind. So in California, by October, you're kind of coming into the end of, or maybe the beginning of when you can get some rain. But we've had some wicked droughts in pretty much all of California, even up in the mountains. The snow has kind of been hit and miss year after year. So by October, you'll see a lot of the lakes, or several of the lakes, have dried up like this. This was cool though. Like, this was where the lake drained down into a giant ravine. The giant ravine, like I mentioned before, is kind of straight ahead of us here where you're looking now. And there's our camp for the night. Got a fire going. This is about 4 o'clock in the afternoon. So we had been fishing and hiking, jumping from lake to lake. You can kind of get turned around too when you're trying to find a lake that you think is there and shows on the map. You can't really find it, so you get a little turned around. But at the end of the day, we all ended up back on the trail and got this spot for our first night to camp out. I'll put a link in the description. This tent, I like it. It's just a one man, one pole pop up. It's super light. Those poles are aluminum. So it's a one man tent with the rain fly over it, since we've been getting rain and wind. And then I had a one man 0 to 30 degree mummy sleeping bag. And then I had a real lightweight down throw cover for over top of it. And then I would just sleep in my long underwear. We all just brought our own dry meals, dehydrated meals. Just cook it over the jet boil. Super easy, super light. Not all of us brought water. It's best to we just got water out of the lake, and our buddy Jim had the filters there, so you just filter the water and then pour it in, boil it and pour it in your pouch. Just to give you, like, most of us got the shits from those dry meals.
No way. Yeah. I was like,
the rain fly pulls out, so you kind of got a little place outside the tent to put your shoes in case they're wet, and my pack and fishing pole out there. It got fucking cold. It got down to 18 degrees, so everything's frozen. Yes, that's ice falling down off the rain fly. Frost everywhere. But I was warm. But you're inside keeps you pretty warm inside the one-man tent in my bag and my sleeping setup, so none of the frost got on me. I did it so the only thing out was my mouth. Everything was covered with a hat, hood, blanket. I used an air blow-up sleeping pad underneath my sleeping bag, and it had a hole in it. So I had to wake up. Usually it would be pretty much out of air every 6 hours. So I would have to wake up at about 3, 4 in the morning and blow it back up. That was the only downside to all my gear. This is the deep gorge or canyon I was telling you about that lake drains into. So, yeah, it's a ways down there. You can't even see the bottom in this. There's level. Shot. Nate, hold your pole out level if you can. This gives perspective. There you go. So there you go. Bottom level. Beautiful.
Yeah,
Science. Day 2, same thing. There's a couple other lakes. Some of the guys knew that had been in the area before, so we're hiking out. Again, some pretty crazy elevation. I think this day is the day we did end up getting all the way up to 9,000 feet. I could be a little off on that, but go ahead and comment if you know the area and you know where these lakes are at. So we had a pretty good pace going.
Up for the work. I'll do emails in the evening. Whatever I have to do, right? But I'd rather not miss it.
So is that the canyon we came up out of?
Yeah. That's just a little baby ascent. Yeah. Like there's so many spots on the Sierras where you'd almost just go in a straight line, just straight up this. There'd be no roundaway trail. To the right.
So we're probably actually at this junction.
Yeah.
And the lake's a little ways off the trail.
Okay.
Down there somewhere.
Oh yeah. Isn't that all we listen to? You know what? I went to this music festival at the Rose Bowl a couple years ago, and yeah, you know it was such a good one because Tom Petty headlined it. It was the year he died, and I always wanted to see him, and it wasn't sure enough.
I recorded all this on my phone, so one of the biggest challenges was getting my solar phone charger to continually charge my phone as I hiked. Saw it there on my pack. It works great if you can just keep it steadily in the sun for a while. I'll put a link in the description to the one or close to the one that I use. But I liked it. It worked. I was able to keep my phone charged to film for the 3 full days while we were out in country. So some perspective is, I think that's the lake, the dried lake bed that we camped out next to the night prior. So doing a lot of like big switchbacks through the, up across and through the tops of these peaks. For the second evening, so after a day of, well, I would say half a day hike, 3.5 hours I think we hiked, and fished along the way. This is where we would camp for the second night. This is Penner Lake. This lake I think you could get to pretty easily without having to hike to it, because there were other campers on the other side of the lake. There was quite a few campers that didn't have full gear.
Home sweet home.
I love this area. Beautiful. We were catching most fish on just Castmasters. You can see there, just a little spoon. Silver and gold, smaller spoons, Castmasters. I call it spoons. Set up camp again for night 2. I try to be picky about where I set up my tent. Made myself a little rock porch. I could set my shoes. Way warmer this night. I still like to be down in the trees, alive trees, so there's no widowmakers around me. Hopefully the live trees would block me from any of the dead ones that might fall my way. A widowmaker, by the way, everybody knows what that is, but if you're at all into the outdoors. But dead trees, if a windstorm comes up, dead trees, they just fall. So yes, trees make noise if no one's around in the woods when they fall. So you try to stay away from them, but the odds of it, I don't know, you do the math. Have you ever had a widowmaker fall near you or on you? Hopefully you're still alive and you're okay. See, look at that, dude. You can't even see me. Is there a tent here? Am I sleeping in it? Nope. There's Mark here, my buddy, caught 2 that he brought back to camp and fry it up on a rock. We can enjoy a little fresh caught trout. Let me know how you guys like to cook trout out at camp.
Almost got him. Then we gotta do liar's dice. Yeah. Everybody can have a little taste.
It's gonna be another cold night tonight. It's already dropping. Starting to drop, yep. Yeah. I'm not nearly as tired tonight. Around in the 30s already. You're in the 30s already?
Yeah, just below 40.
Right now? No way. That's my thermometer.
Makes you cold. Yeah, actually the nice thing with cooking them with the skin on is the skin kind of steams them a little bit. You know, like I'll eat the mid-size ones, and those ones probably need to go back into the gene pool. Yeah, those. Of
course, we had to share fishing stories at camp. But nowadays, you can't just say it. You gotta have pictures to prove it.
Oh my goodness.
So pretty. So pretty. And that was where I was, I don't know if I told you, but I caught a little, I was in this pool, and a tiny little 4-inch rainbow hit a spinner.
Oh, yes.
And then a brown
Came
and chomped a rainbow
Yeah.
on the line. So I caught 2 on one cast. Yeah,
Nice. Say hi.
hey.
Say
He
hi.
ripped the rainbows, everything but
Say hi.
the gills just ripped it
Josh.
straight off.
Say hi. Aw.
Yeah. Hey. Howdy.
some B-roll footage of that couple of guys got as they caught fish, since we all were kind of split up when we would go around the lake. But hope you enjoyed it, and hope you liked the video. Share the video, subscribe, and I just kind of wanted to give you an idea if you want to hike up in this area. Again, it's the Bowman Lake area, just northwest of Lake Tahoe, so you can kind of see what it's like if you want to plan your own trip out there. Give it a try. Thanks for watching.